Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of the Power series. Today marks the 20th episode in the series, and we are very proud, to host this conversation with an amazing panel. Diana Verdenieto, the co-founder and CEO of Positive Luxury, will be in conversation with Caroline Sciamma-Massenet, founder of SKIIM London, the leather-focused luxury brand and recently certified with the Butterfly Mark. Eva Alexandrides, the co-founder of 111 Skin, the cult skincare brand and another member in the Positive Luxury community. Tessa Clarke, co-founder of OLIO, a mobile app for food sharing aiming to reduce food waste, and Alessandra Robles, co-founder of the modern fine jewelry brand Alessa Designs. And together they will be discussing the importance of entrepreneurs within sustainability and the future of entrepreneurship. Before we start, I just want to let you know that you can submit your questions anytime in the Q&A box, and we will answer them at the end. Over to you, Diana.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And it is a real honor to be here today with Caroline, Tessa, Eva, and Alessandra. Entrepreneurship is one of those things that is quite funny, because as an entrepreneur, it's a real honor to have 4 incredible women entrepreneurs. And as you well know, when everything can go wrong, it does go wrong, like just happened now. So I'm sitting here with 4 incredible women, and you guys are home. And my internet is so patchy that I actually cannot make it work. So forgive me, but as an entrepreneur, you have to be resourceful. So that's the first lesson of entrepreneurship: be resourceful. As I was saying, it's a real honor to have you, because you have managed to build incredibly successful business, and you are all women. So I would like to start with you, Eva, tell us about your business and where the idea came from. So over to you.
111 Skin really did not start as a business. If someone had told me that it would be a full-time business and I'll be working 24/7, I probably would not have, started on this commitment. It pretty much started as a hobby. My husband is a plastic surgeon in London, and in his clinic, most of his patients were looking for quick results before they even ask for, the first question is always, how long is the recovery? So I was, I went to university in San Francisco, I worked in Silicon Valley, and I was, kind of always trained to look for opportunities, something exciting, something new. A lot of my friends had started some of the biggest, .com companies in the world. So when he gave me this challenge, he kind of said, I wish I had something that would speed up recovery for my patients. That was pretty much all I needed to hear. I was in touch with different scientists around the world and trying to see if there's something that doesn't exist that can be applied to speed up the recovery. So initially we created a product which we gave for free to the patients in the clinic. This was for a few years, and then slowly we had demand from clients asking for more, so we had to create a brand just because we couldn't sustain just giving free products to our patients. So this was 12 years ago. And that's how 111 Skin was born. It was mostly from need, from the clinic and from the patients, and I was inspired.
Thank you so much, Eva. And Caroline, I mean, again, I like to go with you because, you have created a fantastic brand, super chic, and also, kind of it's been it's been born in a way that is all about, leather, beautiful leather. So tell us a little bit more about this, and what was your inspiration behind the brand?
Of course. So hi everyone. So 3 years ago, I came up with the idea of focusing on leather because I was, first of all, in fashion industry for the past 20 years, being a model for 20 years, then a stylist. So I kind of knew what was luxury about and the best quality. And I figured the market is missing something in leather. You know, there is no one brand with leather like from head to toe, and I just wanted to experience it. So it was quite challenging because leather nowadays, you know, sometimes it could be controversy, you know, with the animal protection, animal cruelty, but I think it's a very pretty sustainable material because it's, first of all, natural. It stays for you keep it for life. So this is the most natural product that, you know, everyone knows since the Middle Age. And I really focused on that because I love beautiful shape, the material, and I use vegetable tanning, which is chemical-free, crumb-free, and I use also a byproduct, which is from the meat industry. So now I'm kind of ready to go further with my diversification. So I'm going to start presenting September all the sustainable fabric, including hemp, linen, cotton, organic cotton. So that will complete my leather world. And yeah, so with my connaissance in fashion, I've been working with the best. I'm very exigent with who I'm working. So there was a lot of research, but also very challenging because, you know, I started like from nothing, and a bit of an experience, but I really, really love it.
It's amazing, and thank you so much for the explanation, because actually when you actually touch the brand and look at the products and actually try them on, you really feel that you actually got the women's shape, and it's so cool because I would never get a pair of leather pants that actually fit me. Tried skin. And
it's like really like the softness of it is beautiful. I love that.
Thank you. We can't hear you, Eva. And I'd like to go to Alessandra, who actually is in Guatemala, and I'm very proud to have in our butterfly on the positive luxury community a South American brand like me, although I'm from Argentina, not from Guatemala. But I mean, you have created an incredible brand, taking the craftsmanship and the knowledge of you know, the region, but actually taking it internationally. So tell us a little bit more about your company.
Okay, well, thank you, Diana. It's a beautiful platform to be here. Very inspiring morning, actually. Well, we co-founded the brand together with my passionate and loving husband. He's on the opposite side of the world, and we did it in 2009. We're a fine jewelry brand, but we wanted to, we always knew that we wanted to create everyday fine jewelry, versatile, simple, intuitive pieces. We specialize in hand-painted technique as well. That's what makes our product very unique. And it's mainly about stacking pieces and everyday fine jewelry. For me, it's really about connecting with the people that wear my product. It's more about the tribe. And this is really a medium to manifest my ultimate state of flow through my creations with them. So yeah, and just the fact of starting the brand here in Guatemala has been incredible, because venturing in South America is a bit different than the rest of the world. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Alessandra. And Tessa, I mean, you and I met on a panel probably about almost a year ago. And you really inspired me because you started a technology company with sustainability at the heart of it, called OLIO. And, you know, it totally has revolutionized not just the way that we consume, but the way that we share. So I'd love you to tell us a little bit more about your business, please.
Certainly, it's great to be with you all today. Absolutely fantastic to be on an all-female panel as well. It's sadly a very rare thing. So the OLIO story actually starts in my childhood because I was born and raised on a farm in the northeast of England. And as a result of that upbringing, I had first-hand experience of just how much hard work goes into producing the food that we all eat every day and quite frankly take for granted every day. When I left the farm, I had absolutely no clue what I wanted to do with my life. And so I went to London and pursued what could be described as a fairly classic corporate career. And so the last 10 years, I was a divisional managing director in the retail space, in financial services, and in media. But that all got sort of tipped on its head through a seemingly inconsequential moment in my life just over 5 years ago now. So I was living in Switzerland and moving back to the UK. And on moving day, the removal men said that I had to throw away all of our uneaten food. And this is something, given that I was born and raised on a farm, I have a pathological hatred for food waste. I was not prepared to toss that food in the bin. And so much the irritation of the removal men, I stopped packing and instead bundled up my newborn baby and toddler at the time and took that food out onto the streets to try and find someone to give it to. And to cut a long story short, failed miserably, went back to my apartment. When the removal men weren't looking, I sort of smuggled the non-perishable food into the bottom of my packing boxes. And I thought, this is crazy. I can't believe I'm having to go to these ridiculous lengths to stop perfectly good food going in the bin. I'd been working digital for 10 years at that time. I knew there was an app for everything. And I couldn't believe that there wasn't an app where I could simply advertise that I had this food available and someone living nearby could pop around and pick it up. And so that really was the light bulb moment, I guess, if you like, for OLIO. We've since expanded, and so now we connect neighbours to give away for free spare food, but also other household items like toiletries, cosmetics, kitchen appliances, books, clothes and toys.
Thank you so much. And I mean, it's fantastic. I say again, I kind of pinching myself for today. And you know, entrepreneur doesn't come easy. And I'd love you to share with the people at home, what does entrepreneurship means to you? And also, being a woman, there is a lot of sacrifices that you have to make. I mean, at least there was a lot of sacrifices I made for my career. So I also would like you to share, which sacrifices did you make, if any, to actually realize your dream of having and conceiving your business? May I start with you, Caroline?
Sure. So to me, being an entrepreneur, it means to be able to be free, like freedom of your creativity and your vision, freedom of choosing the right partner. You know, it's all about that, like really finding your own way without having some people around to kind of distract you or telling you off, or, you know. So I'm really happy to be kind of free in my mind to really focus and determined to go wherever I want to be. And the sacrifice is, of course, posed to the family, the kids. You know, it's a bit more, you know, I'm less free in that way. In you know, I go to have my friends, I can go to school runs every day whenever I want. But also when you have when you have that business in your skin and you want to go for it, this is the pure joy, you know, and your family is with you and helps you out, and there is no struggle anymore, because I try to find my balance also between my family and my business, because who wants to have an entrepreneur who are like a bit frustrated? No one wants that. I want to be like smiley, to treat my people I'm working with like in a nice way, you know. So I think sacrifices, yes, there is, and there will be always, but also if you want to face to have a good journey with everyone who works with you and to be the best as you can, I think the support of your family is imperative. You know, I think we should all listen to our family and husband and kids, but also in work, I'm very focused and perfectionist. So the advice is to, I would say, it's to focus true to yourself and to defend your ideas.
Thank you so much. And I'd like to go to Eva. What about you?
I tend to agree with Caroline that to me, being an entrepreneur has changed over the years. I think in the beginning, when I started the company, was very much about the freedom, as you said, of you know, being in charge of your own time, going for the ideas, you know, for your creativity, you know, pushing a little bit the boundaries, looking for opportunities that no one else has looked before, and challenging the existing, big companies out there, especially in the skincare world, it's dominated by a few big players. And, coming as a small player with a, from a doctor's point of view, from a doctor's brand, you face a lot of challenges, but you also bring a lot of innovation. But now, 10 years later, I think I have a completely different sense of being an entrepreneur. And it gives me big satisfaction to empower other people, empower women, to kind of, being able to show a good example of, how to run a company. I like to think with integrity, foster young people, give them opportunity to grow, to start a career. So this is a completely new vision for me, and I love it so much. I think it's almost like my social purpose, apart from, of course, being involved in charity and in positivity. It's really having creative people around you and stimulating them to grow with you and to give them opportunity. And right now we have around 90 people that work for 101 SKIIM. And it's very important for me that these people have a long-term career, they gain the knowledge. Even if a year or two from now they're no longer with me, I like to know that I have given them the ability to grow in any industry they like to grow. So it has totally changed for me. What started as more like, let me have my freedom to do whatever I want, now it's more about, let me be responsible for giving opportunities to people. And as far as challenges and what I had to give up, I think probably most of you would have the same. I mean, I've missed a lot of school plays. I have two boys, 8 and 14. And, I've cried from Hong Kong, when I would see my kids, winning a championship or doing something, and my best friend would be there instead of me. But at the same time, I think that I would not change anything. And I like to give this example to my children. And I know that they see me, even now we're on holiday, and I said, guys, I'm coming, I'm going to do something. It's an example, and I like to be able to one day look back and know that I've given them this real example, for them to be responsible, to be driven, and to be hardworking.
Eva, that is actually very profound. You make me smile because I can also see your passion coming through. So thank you so much for your honesty and for sharing in such a candid way. I mean, the same question goes to you, Tess.
So for me, entrepreneurship is all about problem solving. And I think it starts sort of right at the very beginning of the journey, because I'd had this sense that I wanted to do my own thing. I think for both of the reasons that both Caroline and Eva had mentioned about kind of wanting that freedom and empowerment. But I spent a long time thinking that I didn't have an idea. And I've now realized retrospectively that sort of looking for an idea is the wrong approach. What you need to do is look for a problem that needs solving. And so we sort of found that initial problem in the problem of food waste, and it absolutely blew our mind when we uncovered just how big a problem it was. But then throughout the entrepreneurial journey, every single day, multiple times a day, you are solving problems. And so you have to be the type of person who really thrives on that. I think the other sort of constant of entrepreneurship is change. So again, you have to be someone who is super comfortable with change and the unknown. And the other thing that entrepreneurship means for me is just utter relentlessness, sort of a refusal to give up. So you might hit a brick wall and you will kind of go around or over or under or do something to kind of magic it away, but you are just absolutely relentless in all of your kind of efforts and energies. In terms of what I had to give up to found OLIO, I gave up a really big salary. I gave up all the kind of status that came with that, with sort of having these great jobs, and I gave up all the security. But I think it's really, really, really important to, when you're talking about what you've lost, to talk about what you've gained. So I will say to people, I've had 3 0 to 1 experiences in my life. One was meeting my husband, one was having my kids, and the other has been founding OLIO. To wake up every single day and know that what you're doing counts, know that it makes a difference, to know that in our case, quite literally, the planet depends upon us succeeding. to help solve the climate crisis. That's just incredibly motivating. And then also from day one, because we're a female founded business, Sasha and I did not live in the same city as each other. We both had young children. And so we built OLIO from day one to be a remote first business. So actually for me, so far, it has actually enabled me to have a better balance with my family and my life. I've been able to be kind of much more present because I work from home, which I've just found incredible whilst the kids have been young. And if I were to be working for a corporate job, I would have been spending, you know, an hour or 2 hours every single day commuting somewhere. I'd be working crazy long hours. I'd be sort of away from the home. And so I think that I've gained an enormous amount in terms of that sort of lifestyle. And the fulfillment and happiness that I have, back to kind of Eva's point, I think that's the best thing you can give your kids, is to show them that you are living your best life. And I kind of feel like I'm doing that.
I again, you make me smile because I think all of us have that in common. I have met you all. Well, I haven't met Alexandra, but I met you all, and I think you have described entrepreneurs in a very accurate way. My co-founder always says that what entrepreneurs do is they jump on the plane with a parachute, with a parachute, and then they actually work out how to make it actually work. Something that feels like that sometimes.
I would totally agree with that.
Can you share your experience, Alessandra? Because you live in on top of entrepreneurship, you have the context of Latin America, which basically, since the moment you are born, you know that you don't really know anything. And you have insecurities, you have corruption, you name it, as a context of how to build a business. So hat off for that. So Alessandra, if you can share your experience, would be fantastic.
Well, I think I have to agree with a multiple connection of what everybody said. I think it's the execution of disrupting ideas with constancy, being constant, with discipline, with courage more than anything. For me, in a Latin American country, and considering that I was 21 when I co-founded this brand, it was definitely challenging. And for consumers to see me as a 21-year-old selling them fine jewelry items, correct? Like 18 karat gold and fine jewelry, and standing behind my product, knowing that what I was creating was here to stay for long. And I think that that's what the journey is all about. Just that consistency and believing, understanding that, it's always going to be a yin and a yang, an up and a down, and not giving up. More than anything, I think it's also finding, not being afraid to ask questions and ask for help. I think that's something that for me has been an amazing lesson. And as well, I think that curating mentors and having people who can help you along the journey, because in my case, I went to a jewelry school only, and that's what I studied. My specialty is in jewelry, and it was a short career. So when it comes to business, it's everything that I've learned along the way, and having mentors that can help you create a stable foundation. Because what happens is that the rapid growth, because you're just constantly on the go, right? Is what can make it or break it in the long term for the company. But as well, we're constantly in this evolution, and we're so passionate with what we've created as an entrepreneur that I think that all of us here would identify with that we've risked everything, and really we've sacrificed a lot, or if not everything, for the girls who have kids here. In my case, I think that I had a formal company at the age of 21, and that I think was definitely part of what makes me today the woman that I am today. And just finding a community and a tribe that supports you and believes in your product is truly the source of inspiration, I would say, in the process. And definitely, considering that I come from a Latin American country, the business model is based also on that sense. We're a different culture, and just educating people has been part of the process, because perhaps most of them were used to purchasing from brands in the United States and big brands. So just making an opening in the market was and is something that continues to be challenging now that we do it in other parts of the world as well.
Thank you so much, Alessandra. Super inspiring. So before we go to the Q&As, and please submit your Q&As in the box in the bottom of your screen, I'd like to ask a final question. So which piece of advice would you give anyone starting or running their own business? I don't know who would like to start.
I don't mind going first. For anyone starting out, I would really, really, really encourage you to start small. So whilst you might have massive dreams, it's so important to start really small. And that can feel very strange because you're like, how on earth can I build this incredible big thing I want to build from something so tiny and inconsequential? But it's really, really important that you start small so that you can get user feedback as quickly as possible. And so an example of this that we did on OLIO, because a lot of people who are starting businesses today think, oh, I need to build an app for that. And building an app is incredibly expensive and really, really hard to get people to download and use your app. And Sasha and I thought, well, how can we test our hypothesis that neighbors would sort of give away and pick up their spare food from one another without investing our life savings building an app? And what we did was we invited 12 people who'd completed our market research survey online, who we didn't know, they didn't know each other, but they all lived in proximity to one another. And we asked them if they would take part in a 2-week experiment where we connected them with each other on a WhatsApp group. And we just said, hey, if anyone wants to share any food, here's a group of people who all live near you and they're ready and waiting to share. And we kind of waited with bated breath for, I think it was about 24 hours before the first share came in. And then quite a bit of sharing took place over that next sort of 2 weeks. And when we then met face to face and debriefed with those participants, one of the most important things they said to us was, it only needs to be slightly better than a WhatsApp group. And that sort of message was kind of ringing in our head, and to this day rings in our head as we think about how we develop product, any new product, even though now we've got 2 million users, we've got a team of roughly 30 employees, we still always start anything new really small. We do it manually, we learn as much as we can, and then scale from there. And the other thing that I would recommend anyone starting off on the entrepreneurial journey to do, 2 things, actually 2 books to read. One is called The Mom Test by a guy called Rob Fitzpatrick, which is really, really great in terms of helping you make sure that you conduct the right type of user research so that you don't just get the answers that you want to hear. And the second book is called The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. And that, again, is really, really sort of foundational philosophy for if you're building a business, and it's all about sort of test, iterate, learn, and do that cycle very quickly and over again.
I would agree with Tessa. I think that it's also all about being resourceful. And it goes back to what you said, you have your big dream, but you have to be as resourceful as possible, as long as you can, let's put it that way. And I think that something that COVID, this whole period, taught me was to go back to my roots. Sometimes when we're in the journey and we start envisioning and other opportunities start opening up, perhaps we forget what our original or what our vision truly is. And I think that listening to the consumer, that's what I think is so interesting about what Tessa did through her WhatsApp channel, is at the end of the day, the consumer will tell us everything of what they want and what they really need. And staying true to that, I think is essential, as well as hiring the people that fit the energy and the culture of the brand and the company, I think is important.
I also agree 100%, Tessa, with what you said. And I think you need to start small, think locally, one client at a time, really learn who is your consumer, what do they want, and not really speed up and try to open as many accounts as possible. And this is really my advice, because I see a lot of opportunities out there in the world, and people just want to conquer everything. Now it's easy to have a global business, and my personal advice is I had an amazing opportunity to have my first little shelf in Harrods. But I stayed in Harrods for over 2 years. I didn't open another account because I needed to understand, you know, what do people want? What do they like? How do they behave? And after that, we went to Barney's, and I also, you know, I stayed there with them exclusive for many years, for a few years. And even though I had many more opportunities, I felt like I needed to learn the market, and you have to be humble. You have to really take your time and not try to run. And I still do this. Now we are a global brand, but every time we have a new account, I go there myself. I visit. We do the training. We do the personal appearance. It's never just, oh, that's one more account. Let's just open it and let's not learn from, because every place is different. Every account, every country is different, and you need to really respect the culture, respect the clients, respect the consumer. So my advice would be the same. Just take it slow, learn from the experience. You know, don't try to conquer everything in a few years' time, and just give your business the time to flourish with the knowledge. And also you need to do it in an organic fashion. You cannot buy consumers, you cannot buy interest, you cannot buy likes. It has to come organic, and sometimes it might take you 3 years to be in one account. Sometimes it might, you know, be 3 months and it's an amazing success. But you need to really listen to your consumers and just respond to them and not rush.
I really agree with you all about like starting small, and I'm still small, so, and having the ability to really have a connection with suppliers and ask the right question is very important. Also to have an open mind and listen to the customer is very important, as Eva said. And I think nowadays we really need to understand all the needs of people and what they really want, instead of overproducing or, you know, making too much. I think it's better to go like more bespoke and listen to people and trying to really work like closely with them. And so also being true to yourself, like I said before. Don't try to go like to look like someone major or bigger. I think like the more realistically you are and the most authentic you are, I think the people we can rely on you, like, you know, in a better way, in a simple way and humble way. And I think I'm more inspired and influenced by this kind of people. That's also part of my inspiration. The woman that represents SKIIM is all these beautiful person, like actresses from the 60s, like Jane Birkin, Brigitte Bardot, who are very engaging women. And that's what inspires me every day in my work. Like being engaged is the number one ethos I have. It's like buying less but smarter, less is more, all this kind of, you know, like, really means to me a lot. So that's why, you know, I keep really looking at the past, how the woman used to live before, the way they have makeup on. They didn't have so much surgery or botox or anything. They just live and were sublime, being natural and with their intellectual side. So yeah, I think true to yourself and being clear with your vision is very important and authentic and real.
And not to be afraid to be different. I think my advice is also don't look left, don't look right, just look at your conviction and your beliefs. Because right now, I think we're very well known for our masks, but if I tell you that not even one buyer wanted to buy masks, and they didn't believe that mask is a category, they believed, you know, 10 years ago that this is just a passing trend somewhere in Asia and it would never be a category. And, you know, now it's part of everybody's skincare regime. And I believed in it. I used the mask, I believed in them, and I'm happy that it's now a category. But I didn't listen to people from, you know, very serious people in the industry, and I was happy to challenge them because this was my conviction. So I think as women we have to learn more how to really stand for what we believe and you know, raise our voice. And you know, when it comes to sustainability or in any industry, in any business, we should not just listen to other people's opinion if we believe differently.
Well, that is wonderfully put, Eva. Thank you. And I agree with you. It's just, you know, you have to feel it in your gut, and you have to go with it and fail quickly. I think the best piece of advice I've been given is fail quickly. Do it, try it, doesn't work, move on, and don't look back. Just keep failing. Like, that's kind of what entrepreneurs do every day.
Totally.
Okay.
You know, how to, you know, keep going with all this challenging, but I think we should take the opportunity to embrace our powerness and, you know, going for it and propose many different things, and not being scared of the newness and not being scared of failure, because that's how, where, you know, we are of fragility, that, you know, it's the most beautiful thing as well, you know, to really encourage women to going for it.
I agree. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that knowing that the good and the bad are also all temporary, right? And there's this constant change, and we're growing and we're learning in the process as well.
Yeah, everyone is.
Which stage in your already 10 years in the business, that it gets easier, you grow bigger and bigger. Started, I remember, to make change in the industry. And about packaging, I wanted, and they would not listen to me. But growing, your voice, and you suppliers and people, really the opportunity.
Eva, you keep cutting. So I mean, internet today is not the best. Okay, let's move to the Q&As, because we can't quite hear you, Eva. Okay, Caroline, this is a question for you and for Alessandra. For someone who'd like to start a fashion accessory brand in these times, what would be your first consideration? Go 100% digital. Any advice regarding the process to define the purpose of your brand? Question mark. So is it go 100% digital? And if you can give any advice regarding the process on defining what is the purpose of the brand. And this is to Alessandra and to Caroline.
I think that when it comes to digital, in today's age, I think it's definitely important. As a brand, we've always invested in technology. And I believe that it's important if you want to have a global reach. Also, perhaps because the consumer has changed in the way that they purchase, more especially in today's time. I don't think that, and sometimes we also dream that we want to have like a amazing platform, an e-commerce platform, and building a platform like that is having like a major store just on the clouds. And I think sometimes we go back again to staying true. You know, there's so many channels and how to be digital nowadays. You don't need to have just an amazing e-commerce platform. You can do it directly through social media. You know, Instagram is a crazy tool, even WhatsApp chats, anything that we can do through video. But I think that incorporating technology facilitates this, and it also is a tool to communicate the voice and the essence of the brand, especially coming from the founder. I think that that's what also differentiates a small business and entrepreneur versus a big corporation, where all you see is a perfect, beautiful image, and you don't really hear or see the founder or even the designer on the stage. And I think that's what digital platforms have brought up, and I think it's definitely important.
And I think, Alessandra, you're so right. Same for me as a small company. My storytelling is so much more valuable. Like you show on your website. I'm going to launch my new website in September because I found a good opportunity now to really tell the world about the storytelling behind what is SKIIM about. You know, what are my inspiration, my muses, the people I work with. I mean, anyone who can really be with SKIIM helps also my customers, because it's real. People really rely on us, you know, like it's a very close approach as well. And I don't want it to be and I want to be accessible for everyone. And sometimes when you go into a big department store, it's quite intimidating because it's big brands everywhere, like people are like, it's a lot to see. But with digital, it's a real story. You go into an experience, it's a destination, people are close to you then, you know, if you talk to people, because I'm very close to my customer. I'm doing a lot of pop-ups also and events where I really talk to my clients about where is the product from, where do we produce, where do I buy these materials and buttons. People like to know the story behind the brands nowadays, and I think the behavior of buyers and clients changed a lot. Nowadays they prefer to know what it is, rather than all the marketing around the brands, who of course when you have a lot of investors, you spend a lot in marketing and the brands looks amazing and shining. I'm the opposite. I'm very humble and I try to really be simple and accessible to these people. And, you know, we're all the same here. We like to be well dressed. We like beautiful things, but also we like to know where is that from. And being transparent is also a very good thing to have. And people want to see that now, I think nowadays. So that's why digital is amazing for that, because they have direct access to the designers, to the product, and they understand better where everything is from, I think. And same for Instagram. It's a free tool to use. So, you know, we're trying our best to really communicate the best as possible with these tools.
Amazing. Yes. And thank you so much, Caroline. And also you all, well, Eva, Alessandra, and Caroline, you have the butterfly mark, which live digitally on the website, so you can actually have full transparency on supply chains and governance. So it's a good thing. It can only be a good thing. This is a question for Tessa. I understand that entrepreneurship is about resilience, but how do you know when to give up?
That is a brilliant question. I think, so I haven't given up yet, but we have had no shortage of obstacles, dark moments. Something that's taken me a long time to get my head around is the fact that those dark moments are part and parcel of the journey. We're probably doing something right if we are having those. And so having a mental sort of mindset shift, I have found really helpful, but clearly you don't want to be delusional, right? So I think two things to bear in mind. First, you will have lots of feedback from people about whether you should or shouldn't keep going. And whenever you're taking feedback from someone, always understand that it's just their opinion and their perspective, and they don't have as much information about your business as you do. However, they might have pattern recognition, lots of experience from elsewhere. So always think very carefully about sort of the context from which they are giving you that feedback, and then you decide whether that feedback applies to your business or not. So I think that's really important. And then the other thing is, you know, I wouldn't give up so long as you still have ideas as to what you can do to sort of accelerate yourself to the next level. And as long as you haven't kind of run out of cash, quite frankly. So if this is still a problem that needs solving and you have enough cash to be able to solve it, and you have ideas that you want to implement and execute, then keep going. So yeah, I hope that helps.
Yes, absolutely. And I can't quite believe that it's almost time to wrap up this webinar. So I have one more question for any of you who would like to take it. What are the most common thing you are facing as women entrepreneurs? And perhaps maybe each one of you can say one thing, and then we can wrap it up in that way. Let's start with you, Alessandra. What are the more common things that you are facing as a woman entrepreneur?
Wow. Well, I think that, I don't know, I've never seen it so much as a challenge because of being a woman, but just because the path of being an entrepreneur is quite challenging. I think that it's really true to what I think Tessa was saying, that what kind of advice you take and what you don't take as well. But I think that more than that is about having a community and building a community, staying close to your customer, because they're going to tell you what they want and what they need. I think that we all face these challenges along the path that we start questioning whether is it really what I want to do? Is it really what the consumer wants? And just I think I can just speak in general as an entrepreneur more than anything. And I think that the whole idea of being a woman leader is standing your ground. I think that sometimes we're all, well, the world was used to a long time before about companies being run by male leaders, and just being able to set your place as a woman is important, and it becomes more powerful once you actually get to do it.
Thank you very much. Eva?
I first of all, I think you have to work with people. It doesn't matter if they're women or men. I happen to have 90% women in my business, but you know, the 10% that are men, I value them just as much as my women. And I think as an entrepreneur, you have to, in the old days, being a woman entrepreneur to me meant, you know, I grew up in Eastern Europe, so it meant just, you know, having the guts to have a business. But right now, to me, it means you have to have a social purpose. It cannot just be that you run a business or you're successful or if you're employing people. You have to have something more that you give back to the community. And I think as women entrepreneurs, maybe we're a little bit more in tune to that, and we can be driving positive changes.
Thank you. Carolyn?
Yeah, so I want to also defend the woman, of course, because as a woman in my business, which is focusing on leather, it's kind of a man world, you know, it's very like rough sometimes. So I had to kind of like be very determined and focused and quite rebel. So I learned to be a rebel when I was stylist, working closely with Karen Rothfeld. So it helped me a lot, and every day in my everyday tasks, I use it a lot because I'm really I'm focusing on what I want, and I really you know, I'm quite a strong woman, so you have to really enhance that woman power. I think it's a force. And also you have to treat people who works with you as well as much as you would like to be treated, because at the end of the day, it's a team, it's a teamwork. I'm not the only one to work in my business. I've got my right hand, my designer, my production manager who's going to help me out also to get there. So it's really important to really care for your team, small or big, whatever. It's just I value as much their work as I do with mine. You know, it's like I'm just the creative director. I've got the vision, but they are doing such a hard work. So we have to really also encourage them to be in the same page as you are. And then yeah, so it's a passion at the end of the day, and whatever passion is, you know, you put your heart to it, and I think it's important to do whatever you do with your heart.
Thank you. And Tessa, you have the last word.
Wow, that's a big pressure. So I would say that being a woman has in no ways sort of negatively impacted our business, and in many ways actually has been an enormous positive. So I think that's a really important point to state. There are two areas, though, where I think I have had a unique experience as a result of being female. The first one was at the very beginning. It lasted for quite some time, and that was I had an extreme case of imposter syndrome. It just felt sort of absurd for the first year or two to kind of call myself an entrepreneur when I hadn't actually at that point delivered much or created much, and I didn't really know what I was doing. Now I'm sort of 5 years in, I've calculated I've definitely done my 10,000 hours. And so I feel much more comfortable saying I am an entrepreneur, because I'm sort of still here, still doing it. But I do think that imposter syndrome is something I do hear a lot about from female founders. And so if you're thinking about starting a business, then, and you're experiencing that, please don't worry, it's quite normal, I think. The second area, though, which I have found very challenging being a female founder, has been around fundraising. And I've found that challenging in practice. I've also found that challenging mentally. I found it challenging mentally because when I look at the data and I see that in the venture capital world, only 1% of all VC funding goes to female founded businesses, 89% to male founded businesses, and the delta to mixed teams. And so kind of throwing yourself into that process and knowing that all the cards are stacked against you is a really, really, really difficult thing to do. But that's where the kind of the resilience and the grit comes into its own. And if you're solving a problem that you are extremely passionate about, then you will just make it happen somehow. And I'm thrilled to say we have actually successfully fundraised. So I think sort of if you set your mind to do something, if you are sort of humble and ambitious in equal measures, then there's nothing you can't achieve.
I love that. If you're humble and in what did you say?
Humble, I said humble and ambitious in equal measure.
Humble, I was going to say stubborn. Humble and ambitious in equal measures. Yes, you can achieve anything. So, well, first of all, thank you so much for taking almost 2 hours of your day, 1 hour today and 1 hour yesterday, to share your experience and for your incredible honesty in your answers. So really, thank you very much for that. And also, before I hand it over to Claudia, I just want to say have a great summer. We are also taking a break until September for our webinar series. So thank you again, and I'll hand it over to the amazing Claudia. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Caroline, Tessa, Alessandra, and Eva for your time today. It was an inspiring webinar, and I feel inspired. We are, just like Diana said, we are actually taking a hiatus from the Power Series in August, but we'll be back in September. And if you have any suggestions for the topics you would like us to cover in the second season of the Power Series, please email us at hello@positiveluxury.com. And until then, take care of yourself. Bye. We'll see you. Bye.
Bye.
See you. Thank you.
Everybody.
Thank you, everyone.